Wow, what a hassle going live. Hi, guys. Man. Wow, what a hassle that was.
Irresistible pralinate filling, made from in-house roasted hazelnuts, covered in fine Belgian chocolate. Gillian, the original seashells.
Hang on. Hang on, Di. We'll be in a sec.
I know what it is to be parted from your true love.
Real life insurance really helped us when Isaac's mum passed away. We received her full cover amount paid directly. I'm so grateful she did something simple years ago and got covered. Applying was easy. Click to request a quote now.
Whenever you say the name of a goddess.
Okay, no sound again. Could you hear Johnathon Cahn? Okay, Jonathan, okay. I'll go back and play. This is not how it's supposed to work, but okay.
It's a Hindu goddess.
Right.
Not only that, her middle name is Devi, which literally means the goddess.
Yes, it does.
Kamala, her name Kamala Devi means Kamala the goddess, and it is actually, you find it in Hindu scriptures, Hindu writing, it actually talks about Kamala Devi, the goddess. An explosive book, but this is going to be that. It's really pulling away the veil behind everything that is happening now. From taking, if you remember the Return of the Gods, I wrote that book, and it's taking it to a whole new level. What's happening in our culture? What's happening in the behind the elections, behind the leaders, Trump, everything. It is something that, I mean, so much so that explosive that. I don't even, there are things that we can't even talk about, and there are things that we don't even know what's going to happen when it comes out today. But it is revealing the subtitle is The Return of the Ancients and the Future of America. And so we're going to get into some mystery. Some mysteries are going forward where we're like to a whole other level, and others are just like totally other realms. So I believe it's going to be real important for people, not just for believers and those who are open, but people, for their friends and people who don't know the Lord, and people also who know the Lord, but they're not awake, they're not ready for where we are prophetically and where it's going.
It's incredible. I was reading it, and of course, there's a great concept. I mean, the avatar you share in the book, you share something you've never written before, and that's the fact you had encounters with gods or spirits. I've been to India a couple times, and so I know what you're talking about. But it sounds like, though, you had something special happen to you in India when you sounded the biblical trumpet, the shofar.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Bible says that behind the gods are what's called in the Hebrew scriptures the shedim. These are entities. So it's not just gods in mythology. There are entities when people worship these things behind them. And in Greek, it got translated over in the New Testament. The word shedim became daimonia. We get the word demonic from it. So here I am in India. There's 30 million gods, and there's going to be spirits. And I have never seen warfare, the power of God and the power of the enemy so strong as there. In fact, if it wasn't just in the spiritual realm, if it wasn't for God, I wouldn't be alive today. I mean, I would not have gotten out of there. I told you, they asked me to walk in the footsteps of Thomas, the apostle, because they believe Thomas brought them the gospel. I'm a Jewish believer. And so everywhere I went, I mean, there was all sorts of stuff happening, and there was danger. There were people trying to get to me, crazy, and so much stuff. But at the end, I'm standing in front of 70,000 Indians at night, open air, and I'm led, before sharing the gospel, I'm led to sound the shofar, the trumpet in the Bible, and for freedom, and clearing the air. And I sound the trumpet.
Hey, Vas, good to see you, bro.
We don't know what happened. If you can imagine being at an exorcism, but
my camera dropped out yesterday. I had to change service to Google.
Multiplied by thousands of people getting exercise. I mean, people, it was like screams, waves of screams, and they didn't know. They never heard of the trumpet or they never heard the shofar. They didn't know what was happening. But when I read later on in the Bible, it says when you're in warfare, it says in Numbers when you sound the trumpet and you'll prevail against the enemy. And so for ages, the shofar from ancient times has been sounded for the enemy to flee or for exorcising that. They didn't know that, but it just happened.
Vas, I'm okay, but the last few days I've been losing my train of thought because of the medication I'm on. That's why I realised, how come I keep losing the thread of the conversation? And it's because my head was getting muddled up with the meds.
And the thing is that this connection between we're in a land of gods and spirits. And the other thing is that at the end of that, Paul, after doing that, I gave the message of salvation, and about 70,000 people received the Lord.
Oh, praise God. I mean, wow. Well, but you did the biblical.
How are you, Vas? What have you been up to?
Out first, or in this case, you send out the priest blowing the shofar. I mean, yeah. So it proves that the word of God is true. The manifestations of the word of God will happen. That's incredible. But think about 70,000. But there's a revival. I know I have a lot of evangelists that we take care of in our ministry. 280 of them, actually. And they're running around the whole country. And it's incredible, the salvation and the revival in India.
Yeah.
Now, you also he's talking about having an experience there. You also had one in Cuba, too. Am I right?
Yeah. And what I saw, and in the book, I opened this up to really set the stage for what we're dealing with in America and the West, but it's all over the world. And what happened when I was in Nigeria, what happened was in Brazil, but all the gods. And so I'll share one. The one where is Cuba. I was asked to go to Cuba. Fidel Castro, the dictator at the time, opened up the island for 1 month for Christians. And so I was asked to go by the Christians to go there and open up this 1 month of the gospel with the sounding the shofar, and I did, and throughout Cuba, and I ministered. And what happened is I'm in a place called Orientes, and there's a mountain overlooking the city. Now, and on top of the mountain, they worship the gods and idols and have sacrifice. In Cuba, I think of it as communist, but under communism, actually, something called Santeria spread all the more. It's all over the island, and that is that they worship, quote, the Catholic saints, but they're really worshiping African gods. So behind each saint is a god. And so they're worshiping the gods on this mountain. And I said, we had to go up this mountain. I go up the mountain, I have a shofar, and there's a guy standing in front of this. There's a pavilion with all the idols and the gods. And the guy's standing in front, and he calls out to me, and I don't know the guy, but, seems to know me. He comes over to me, and he says, I've been waiting for you. And in his hand, he's holding a ceramic plate with an image, a painting of me.
What?
Wow. No way.
Wait a minute. So did he prophetically paint this, not knowing who you were?
Okay. The first thing is that you're right. The first thing with this, he was a believer. He wasn't one of the worshipers of the gods, but he said God told him.
What's your email, mate?
Now he probably saw, I'm all over Cuba. He probably saw a poster. But the thing is, he said, do this, put it on the plate, go up the mountain, put it in the house of the gods. Now that night, Paul, the leather strap that was holding it breaks apart. The plate, the image of me blowing the shofar comes down and strikes the head of the idol. What? The chief god of Cuba, named Ochun. And in the morning, the worshipers of the gods open up the doors and they find their chief god on the floor.
Oh,
And you think about
Story in the Bible. That's
people
covenant.
people would say, they'll say, oh yeah, that's a.
Vast, my server dropped out on YouTube on the other one I had, and I had to call geeks to you yesterday to come and fix it.
No. That's real, and God is real, and He did it.
I'm
And
not
they
good with
finally, she fell on the
technology.
floor with her crown removed from her head, and next to it is this image of this Jewish god with a shofar on it, and we saw it was the trumpet with the shofar that struck her head, and the word comes down the mountain, and we heard the reports afterwards that people were coming to churches, bringing idols and the gods.
Vast, what do you make of the 23rd of September? I'll believe it when I see it. I'm gonna make out like it's not happening because I don't think it's gonna happen.
And saying, smash our idols. We heard what happened on the mountaintop, and revival broke out.
Oh my Lord! I've never heard this story. This is an incredible story.
I've never written it.
I mean, you really should write about this because, well, it brings back the echoes of the days of when the Ark of the Covenant was stolen by the Philistines. They put it in the house of Dagon, and Dagon ended up being decapitated and falling on his face, and at the end. So
Exactly that. Same God, our God lives.
Same manifestation, and and revival breaks out because of that.
Yes.
All right. So in the book, The Avatar, which is, folks, please get a copy of this. Just go right out. Give 5 copies. Give 4 away. Okay.
Because it looks like, thank you, Paul. It looks like this. So don't confuse it on Amazon with a movie. Or I think there's another book. So make sure it looks like this, and it says The Return of the Ancients. But
Yes, you're right. Well, now, in the book, what does the issue, the gods have to do with us in the modern world of America?
See, one of the things. Yeah, I saw it in every land. I saw the same thing. I mean, the gods are real. They actually seek to. Everyone. There's a phenomenon called possession, where the gods possess and make avatars or vessels out of people in every place, and they all are linked. They all seek to take the culture over and all that. Well, in America, in the West, we don't know about these things, and so it's even more dangerous because we can be followed.
I am, Vast. I'm eating a lot of fruit too. When I don't drink, I like my lollies and my fruit.
These spirits without even knowing it. And there is a principle that, Jesus gave that parable, the guy who was possessed and he's delivered, but he stays empty of God. And the spirit comes back and says, oh, it's great. It's all empty. It brings 7 other spirits, and the guy gets repossessed worse than before. And people think, oh, that's not a guy. But Jesus said, so it will be with this generation, not just a God. You see, generations can be, or civilizations and nations can be possessed or oppressed, and can also be delivered, and they can also be repossessed. And the thing is, there's a warning here because because our culture, Western culture, was delivered from the gods by the gospel. When the gospel came into Rome, the Roman Empire drove out the spirits. We are an exorcised civilization. That's what makes the West different. But the warning is, if any nation, culture, civilization that's been delivered should ever empty itself of God, that which was cast out of it goes back into. And we have been for the last half century without God, the house isn't going to stay empty. And so what was cast out actually comes back in. The same spirits, the same gods, and the return of the gods, and I move it further, I go further in the Avatar. You can actually identify the spirits and gods that are affecting our culture. There's a spirit of child sacrifice with abortion. There's the ancient spirit Ishtar, which is linked to gender confusion and all that. So we are dealing with it right now.
We don't need.
Vast, Revelation 12 was on 2017. So that was fulfilled. So we're definitely in the last days.
Been realized and we've done several things, America, and that is we quit.
And that Revelation 12 was 7 years ago. I reckon that was a time of sorrows, and we're just about to hit tribulation. I think we'll definitely be in tribulation by Christmas.
Quit teaching history, even American history. And we haven't taught anything about ancient gods or other nations. That's why we're Americans. So let me ask you, we got the Olympics coming up in 2028. Guess what? The United States is going to host it. It's a big deal, but how big a deal is it really? And you talk about this in your book.
It's a huge deal.
Yeah, the Olympics, first of all, I mean, and listen, I'm not talking about the athletes or the people doing it, but the origins are pagan. The Olympics were actually religious festivals to the god Zeus, and they had sacrifices, and they had naked athletes and all, and worship to Zeus. Well, but the thing, I'm not talking about everything, but here's the thing. What's happened is that when in the opening ceremony of the last Olympics, something happened. It was probably the most widespread act of blasphemy you ever seen. It was they had the Last Supper. They tried to deny it, but that's what it was. The Last Supper, but instead of Jesus, it was basically, and the apostles, it was drag queens. And the thing about it, instead of the body or the elements of...
Bas, I had 2 scares upon me this year. The first one was when my belly swelled and I went in the hospital for nearly 2 weeks there. And then 2 weeks ago, I went for a busted blood vessel in the throat. And I'm on very strong pain. I'm on very high doses of, what do you call it? What do they call it when they get rid of the blood?
The bread and the wine, the body of Messiah. They have a plate of food and they have a silver platter. They lift it up, and instead of Jesus, there's a.
See, that was me losing train of thought there, Vas.
And the pagan god is Dionysus. And so now think about this, Paul. At the beginning of the age, the gospel and Jesus, drove out the gods, drove out Dionysus. But now it was a sign of what's happening in our culture. They replaced Jesus with a pagan god that was actually driven out. And the thing is that there was a guy who.
Vas, it's crazy, isn't it? We are going to be the guys. We are the final generation. Our age group is the final generation. And I reckon he saved the best till last, because we're all pretty staunch Christians here.
Actually did this, and he actually provides a warning. In the 19th century, there's a guy called Friedrich Nietzsche, who was a German philosopher, and he said, we got to get rid of Jesus, get rid of God. God is dead. He's the one who said all that. And then he said, but he actually venerated the god Dionysus, pagan god.
Oh, I didn't know.
And at the end of his writing career, the god Dionysus actually drove his followers insane. Well, Nietzsche.
Blood thinners. I was trying to think what makes your blood less. Blood thinners I was talking about. And that's what scared me, because I was on high doses of blood thinners, and I started coughing up blood. So knowing got a lot of blood thinners in me, I was very scared.
Goes insane.
I'll shut up for a while now.
And he, instead of signing his name as Nietzsche, he starts signing it as Dionysus, like he's taken over. And the thing is, his writings were picked up by a guy named Adolf Hitler. And
we'll all be at the same table at the supper. I reckon we'll all be together.
Third Reich.
That's right.
And the thing is that that's how dangerous this is. It's a dangerous thing for any nation or civilization that has known God, a quote Christian culture, to turn away from God. And look what happened. That's what we're dealing with.
So it just kind of, so when you use the term avatar in the book, you refer to it as sort of, it's like a vessel. Okay. Are you saying that maybe Friedrich Nietzsche was the avatar of an ancient god, or was possessed?
Just take one break for a second, folks. We're live right now. Again, this interview I did with Johnathon Cahn first aired on the Paul Bailey podcast on Tuesday night, but it was so good that we wanted to play it also here a little bit tonight before Mike from Around the World. I'm on the road. Of course, my mom's in the hospital, my dad's sick, but we've been working with that situation this week. So we're on the road in Indiana, actually. But so we're doing our best, but the Scarlet system went out on me. Hopefully we'll have that fixed by the time Mike from the World comes on. If not, We'll do it the old way, and we'll make it work. But let's get back to this interview. It's just powerful. It's just unbelievable. He's talking about an incredible moment.
By a demon? What
Yeah. You know, Paul, that's a great point.
That's him, not me.
I didn't do that. It froze. Okay, hang on, folks. Now the screen has froze. So I don't know what's going on tonight. Everything I'm doing, it's like the system is being eat up. Okay? So give me a moment on this. Get right back to this. I have never, I won't say I have never had the PBT issues, but this is strange. Now we're starting talking about demons, didn't we, Heidi? But it won't play. It's saying that it is stuck there because it's saying the bandwidth. So just hang on a second. I've got it ready. It may start anytime. Unbelievable. I'm going to try to refresh my. Let's get back close to where we were at right here somewhere.
The end of his writing career, the god Dionysus actually drove his followers insane. Well, Nietzsche goes insane. And he, instead of signing his name as Nietzsche, he starts signing it as Dionysus, like he's taken over. And the thing is, his writings were picked up by a guy named Adolf Hitler and the Third Reich.
That's right.
And the thing is that that's how dangerous this is. It's a dangerous thing for any nation or civilization that has known God, a quote Christian culture, to turn away from God. And look what happened. That's what we're dealing with.
So it just kind of, so when you use the term avatar in the book, you refer to it as sort of, it's like a vessel. Okay. Are you saying that maybe Friedrich Nietzsche was the avatar of an ancient god or was possessed by a demon?
Yeah. Paul, that's a great point. I believe, in a sense, in effect, he was. The thing is that, there's a fine line because, in these cultures, they believe that gods take avatars. Well, we know behind the gods are spirits and spirits possess. Right. So yes. In fact, I don't know, we wouldn't have time for it, but even Fidel Castro, I said there are all these Santorean gods. He actually, his life follows the pattern of one of those gods. It's actually a Santorean god that actually smoked cigars, that overthrew the king and took his place and became a tyrant, that actually called down fire from heaven to destroy his enemies. Fidel Castro almost brought fire down on America, trying to destroy to with a nuclear missile. But on the day that Castro was interred in his funeral, and they had a national day of mourning, it fell on the day of that god, that cigar-smoking god called Shango. So yes, there are many manifestations. What we're going to see, I'm going to at least name one of them before we're finished, on the American political stage right now.
Okay, now.
We won't do it yet. Right?
Okay. So let's put it this way. The avatar opens an ancient template that reveals what is happening in America. Okay, can you give us a taste of that then, as we're making our way? What are you saying?
Yeah. This has to do with the kings.
Mars, it's not easy to just cut back on the blood thinners. The doctor's in charge, and they got my best interest at heart. We haven't got the same system in America, or you're Canada, aren't you? Isn't your health system similar to ours? Everything's free?
For the leaders. And there's an amazing thing, because when Israel turned away from God into the gods, they had leaders who were leading this, and they're off, evil pretty much. And the amazing thing is each leader, each king or queen is a prototype of a modern American leader as we've been going away from God, as our culture has been. And it's amazing. It explains the whole person. It's the mystery behind the person. And even in each case, it actually gives the exact time when, how long each leader will be on the national political stage. Exactly. And even what year there will be scandals. I mean, behind Bill Clinton is a king actually named Ahab. Behind Barack Obama, who and Bill Clinton was on the national political stage for 22 years. Well, Ahab was on the national political stage for 22 years.
Wow.
Barack Obama basically was follows the pattern of Joram, who was a son of Ahab, followed in these hostility to God's ways, and Obama was on the national stage for exactly 12 years, the political stage, and Joram exactly 12 years. Ahab had a wife, and his wife was Jezebel, who was for Baal worship, which is child sacrifice.
Right.
Well, the key champion of abortion in the 1990s was Hillary Clinton. She was voted the champion, and she's the wife of the American Ahab. And the thing is that Hillary Clinton was on the national stage with her husband on the political stage for 22 years. On her own, she was in office, and then she ran for president. You total up the years, it's 14 years. Well, Jezebel was on the national stage with her husband for 22 years, on her own, 14 years.
Unbelievable. I mean, you can't make that up. I mean, you can't make that up. So, okay, so let me ask you a question. Donald Trump, I mean, is he all, I mean, because those were bad kings, obviously, and queen. But Trump comes along, and he is definitely a world changer. Okay, I mean, God's using this man in some way or another. Or let me ask you, who's Donald Trump?
Yes, I mean, listen, Paul. Once we get this part, it's like everything about Donald Trump makes sense. It's the mystery of Donald Trump, and that is that the culture. See, when at the time of the House of Ahab, it was taking over everything. I mean, if they kept going, if that house kept going, it would be the end of Israel. It would be sealed in apostasy and judgment. But the thing is, God had a surprise. See what happened with, and his name was Jehu. And the thing is that in our culture, what we were up until this last election, we are witnessing a takeover of virtually every realm, every institution of culture. I mean, this woke agenda, anti-biblical agenda, whether it was the Hollywood or the music industry or the school system or the library system or the corporate world or the even the army and the FBI, everything. The thing is that it would have been sealed, but the thing is, God had a surprise, which was Jehu. Donald Trump's mystery is Jehu. Jehu was wild. He was impulsive. Unpredictable. You never know what he's going to say next or do next. So was Trump. He wasn't a politician. He was a fighter. So was Trump. Remember how Trump began everything? He was on that staircase that Trump Tower. Trump down the famous staircase and began this race. Well, you know what? I didn't know this. Jehu began on top of a staircase. That's what it began. And he comes down and begins the race. Serious? I mean, yes. Yes. I didn't even know this when I started writing it. And the thing is that, so Jehu makes an alliance with the religious conservatives of the land. And so Donald Trump makes the lives of religious conservatives of America. Jehu had an agenda to drain the swamp, the capital city. So did Donald Trump. And in order to come to power, Jehu had to stand against the nation's former first lady. So Donald Trump.
Oh, yes, he did. He defeated Hillary Clinton in 2016 election. It was absolutely brutal. And this is incredible. I mean, okay, so Donald Trump, and by the way, Donald Trump, folks, was a Democrat, okay, and had different views, more liberal views. He hung out with more liberal friends, but there was a change.
Well, interesting that you say that, because Jehu originally worked for Ahab, so he was actually on the wrong side. And the wrong side of Baal worship, life. And he was friends with him. And actually, Donald Trump, not only was that, he was also friends with the Clintons.
He went to the wedding. I know. Yeah. So, all right. So guys, this is why you gotta get the book. This is why you gotta get the book, because look, the ancient mystery that you believe there is what's going to determine the outcome of. Certainly, you have the last three American. Yeah. But where does it go next?
Yeah. Well, a few things. First of all. The template of Jehu is that he comes to power first by standing against the present king, who's against God, and he stands against the king, and then a woman takes the place of the king, and he stands against the woman, and he defeats her. In 2016, it was exactly that. First, he came against Obama, and then Hillary Clinton with an anti-biblical agenda. The woman he comes against and wins. But in 2024, the template of Jehu repeats, it replays. Because he's again, first Donald Trump is against the president.
Hey, Belladonna, welcome back.
Which was Joe Biden.
Yeah.
He defeats him in that debate. And then a woman with an anti-biblical agenda comes in his place.
That's right.
Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
And so he defeats her. And so Donald Trump, the template was there in 2016 and 2024. In 2020, it wasn't that template. He was in power. And so you didn't have the template of Jehu. He didn't prevail. But so that's why he didn't prevail. And that's why he prevailed in 2016 and 24, because of the template of Jehu. So this template, even reveals that.
Unbelievable. So Joe Biden is then in this. There's a mystery with him as well, right?
Yeah, amazing. Because with everybody. And the thing is that in the Avatar, I share about the mystery of a king called in the Bible in this template called Jehoram. Jehoram is the mystery behind Joe Biden. It's the template. And the thing he doesn't. And by the way, none of these people know they're following it, but they are. And the thing is, Jehoram, he knew about the things of God, but he turned against them. He was apostate. Well, Joe Biden also.
Bas, I reckon your name detonates a part of your character. And you know what Biden's middle name is? Ribbon off, as in rip them off. Ribbon off.
Originally, he was against Roe
Trump being Trump one in the Bible.
versus Wade, but at the end, he was persecuting pro-life people when he became president. He turned totally. But at the beginning of Jehoram's reign, he suffers a military catastrophe, a withdrawal, a catastrophic withdrawal, retreat from a foreign land, Edom. Well, at the beginning of Biden, the American Joram, his reign, Biden, he suffers the same thing. It's called Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Disastrous retreat, which changed his whole presidency. Also, in Jehoram's reign, there's a problem with a border. Foreigners are crossing the border, and it seems like Jehoram isn't doing anything about it. Well, same with Biden.
Yeah.
In the time of Jehoram, there is an attack, an invasion on the land of Israel. And the Bible says that the ones who did the invasion were the Arabians and the Philistines. Well, Arabian is another way of saying Arab, and Philistine, the word today we have a word called Palestinian. Well, the word is actually in Arabic is Philistini. It means the Philistines. So you have October 7th during the American Jehoram's reign, and the invasion in the time of Jehoram from the Philistines started in the Gaza Strip. And they went into the land and they took hostages back to the Gaza Strip.
No, I read that, and that's an absolute repeat.
It's total. And the thing is, well, there's so much here, but I'm just giving a little taste. But the things that Biden, Jehoram it says he led the nation away from God, and those were the policies against life, against gender that Biden did. But get this, at the last part of his reign, Jehoram, there's an issue. He's beset by physical infirmity.
You're kidding me.
No. And we don't even know if he was reigning or he's having other people. We don't know.
They had the auto pen. They had the auto pen back then.
They had an auto scroll.
Yeah.
An auto scroll.
Yeah.
And the thing is, by the end of his reign, Jehoram had one son left. It was his youngest son, who didn't follow the Lord. His name was Ahaziah. Well, at the end of Biden's reign, he had one son left. It was his youngest son, Hunter, who didn't follow the Lord. But the thing is this, get this. Ahaziah, the name comes from the root word in Hebrew, ahaz, which means to seize. Now, in Old German, the word to seize is Henten, thus the name Hunter.
No
way.
Yes.
Okay. Well, then I got to just jump up to just grab Kamala Harris from it, because
I've heard all this up until this. I've already heard his stuff about Jehu and that, but I haven't heard him use Hunter's son.
There's something. Okay, what is she?
Well, you know what? All right. Let me. There's a few mysteries in the Avatar there. There is an ancient queen. Okay, but there's a deeper one we'll get into, which is we'll get even deeper, which is when we get to the Avatar. But and I didn't even plan it. But the thing is that there was a queen called Atalia. Now Atalia in the template was actually Jezebel had a daughter, and
Okay.
it was Atalia. Well, the political heir to Hillary Clinton, the American Jezebel, was Kamala Harris,
That's right.
and that was Atalia. Atalia ends up joined in a political marriage to Johora. So
Belladonna's a very pretty name.
Harris with Biden.
With Biden.
And she was the number 2 during the reign of Jehoram, the Atalia, and so was Harris was the number 2. But then at one point, Atalia seeks to become number 1.
Mm.
So Atalia seeks to become number 1. Now the thing is, in doing that, she actually kills children.
Vas, I'll give you a wrench, but it's not the ban anyone. It's the post links. I've got the ban and wrench, but apart from that, I'll give you one that you can post links on.
She actually kills children. She kills the royal children, and she actually kills her own grandchildren. So she's got blood, and she's for Baal worshippers, but she's got blood, the blood of children. And think about that. What campaign among all in American history was more pushing, was celebrating abortion? It was Harris's campaign. In fact, when she was being nominated outside the convention, they're actually performing abortions.
Yeah.
And there's so much to this, but I will say one thing. At the end, Atalia is overthrown it starts in the temple of God. In the temple of God, her downfall begins, and then she's overthrown. But the thing is interesting because on the very first day of her campaign after nomination, she's with Tim Walz on the first event. Could there be a prophetic sign of where it's going to end up? Well, there was. The name of the first place that she was at is called Temple. A sign that she was going to lose and be overthrown.
Wow. Okay, so now we understand. So now let's back up for a minute. I got more questions, but I want to back up a minute. So when you use the term
Bella, the mother of my child's name is Tammy.
avatar again. So are these people, good or bad, being okay? If they're good, they got to be directed by God and by the Holy Spirit and the Word of the Lord. And if they're bad, they're allowing ancient spirits to manipulate them.
Still hasn't done it. Hang on.
By these ancient spirits, do they become at a young age or?
Yeah, I believe. Listen, just like God seeks to use us and the Spirit seeks to use us for His purposes, the enemy seeks to use us, those who will be used for His purposes. So yeah, it's interesting that you say this because in that sense, you could say they're avatars in a sense. They are following these ancient kings and queens who were led by the gods, or the spirits. And we're going to see one a very short.
Okay, Bella, I just gave you a wrench.
Partly how it's going to get even deeper than that. I mean, you're going to see. So when we talk about, I promise I talk about someone who's on the natural state right now, who is in effect an avatar. But leading up to that, before that, something to know, because to understand where we are right now, the mystery of Jehu is because Donald Trump, he rose twice, and each time according to the Temple of Jehu. Well, he's in power right now. So what did Jehu do upon becoming the king?
It's working.
Tell us what's happening right now with Trump. Well, listen, you know what? Jehu was anointed to strike down the house of Ahab. Okay. In other words, the nation's going to be taken over, its culture, everything by the house of Ahab. Anti-biblical. So Jehu was to roll it all back. And what has Trump been doing? He's been rolling that all back like nobody has ever done. And it's not like...
Hey, Diane, good to see you. Wondering where you was.
Reading the Bible. He's reading about Jehu. And it's not that he even planned this like years ago, but God will use whom He will use. So literally, he's been the key person in rolling back this whole agenda, the agenda of the gods, the agenda of child sacrifice, Moloch, the agenda of gender confusion, Ishtar, and the removal of God, Baal. So all these things, and the thing is that what Jehu specifically did, if you look in the Bible, is it says he purged the government of Ahab's house.
Well, that's what's going on right now. I mean,
exactly. I mean, if you read the Bible headings, it says Jehu purges, Israel.
Bella, if you're not a Christian, you don't get a wrench here.
It says
only Christians get wrenches.
The headlines: Trump purges the Department of Justice. Trump purges this. It's exactly that. He's Jehu on steroids right now.
Well, when you eliminated the Department of Education.
Well, it just
just change it. Give it back.
and it's amazing that you said that because he didn't just purge people; he dismantled institution. Jehu dismantled.
Yeah, we notice when you don't show up, Di. You post the greatest links.
The temple of Baal. So Donald Trump is the president.
Plus, you like a laugh.
And you know the first person who was told about Jehu was Elijah. When Elijah was despairing and saying, God, I'm the only one left, and God says, no, he says, I want you to anoint the prophet Elijah, and I want you to anoint a man called Jehu. And he says that he speaks about the sword of Jehu. Well, on the night of Trump's inauguration, he's at a ball, military ball, and they present him with a gift. It's a sword. He takes the sword, starts waving it around and dancing with the sword. Now, what president does that? Well, Jehu does it.
Wow.
Donald Trump, in a sense, is a sword, where he was, number one, I'm wondering, for those who are against God, it's kind of like
Look, Johnathon Cahn's got a guitar behind him. I didn't know he could play guitar.
judgment. But for those who are for God, it's a reprieve. It's an answer. So to the culture. But that's what he's done. We've gotten so entrenched with the gods, that it takes someone like a Jehu or a Trump to roll it back with a sword.
And so with the Church of Jesus Christ, the believers, all of us believers, it brings a revival. When the enemy's kingdom is crumbling down, much like Josiah's, let's say, when the kingdoms are falling and all the principalities and powers, okay, would you say that powers is really what we're dealing with?
That's behind it all.
Yeah. So as Trump can we foretell biblically where Trump goes from here? What goes on, or what?
Well, we can say what's appointed, because the thing is interesting. When I said,
Great question.
like with each
Come in,
leader,
Papa.
when I'm revealing the mystery of
You
kings and
just
the
shut it up,
avatar,
man.
it is telling the exact time they'll have on the national political stage. So the question is, or the span. So the question is, when did Donald Trump enter the national political stage or presidential stage? And he was always around in the culture, but when did he enter that? Well, people say, 2016 when he first ran, or 2015.
Not
Well,
15.
no. What people don't know is Donald Trump actually first entered the national political stage, the presidential stage, in the year 2000. He actually was a candidate for the presidency in 2000 under the Reform Party. And there's actually it was called, their posters say Trump 2000. And he actually won primaries. He won California and he won others in that race. So now the thing is, so his last year appointed, if he serves it and he doesn't try to do something else, it's going to be 2028. That's the last full year. Well, the thing is that's a span of 28 years. Well, if you open the Bible to Jehu, it says Jehu was on the national stage for 28 years. His last year, the 28th year.
Unbelievable. And I didn't know that Trump ran in the Reform.
No, nobody.
How much does a beach home go for, Di? Just a stock standard beach home.
knows, but he won't.
I didn't know that. So here we go. Again, the numbers are adding up, whether it be King Ahab or Jezebel, and their time on the world stage. So you are saying that the Avatar opens the mystery of God, kings, goddesses, and queens, and the avatars of the pagan world. So is being really overlain, or has been, or we have a mirror going on here of not only the ancient times before the nation of Israel and before the children of Israel, but during the children of Israel's time and now. So it's like keep repeating. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, the thing is that, in the ancient world, you had in the pagan world, you just have the gods. You didn't just have the spirits. You had what were called the god kings, or the goddess queens, or the avatar. The kings of the ancient world, like the major powers, like Egypt, the pharaohs were seen as avatars of the Egyptian god. Each one. That's and in Babylon, the same thing. The king was an avatar, or the living image, supposed to be the living image of a god that they were worshiping. Well, if we have been watching the Return of the Gods, could we now be at the point where we could actually see this? We could see people who are poised or seeking to take over the nation, who are in effect avatars. And could we have come real close in this last election? Well, let me tell you, this is like taking away the veil here, and this is there. You know, the word avatar is from the Hindu gods, and it means, you know, one of their vessels or manifestations or images on earth, a person. Well, there's a house in Hinduism, a lineage, which is the house from, in their belief, the avatars come from, or that many of them are born into this house who become representatives of the gods. Well, it's the house of, quote, Brahman. Well, now,
Diane, I wonder how we're going to do this. If there's no tribulation, or if not tribulation, rapture. If no rapture happens, there's going to be so many people peed off about it. Personally, I'm not sure, but I lean towards the Armageddon, because when I read the Bible, that's the opinion I come to without anyone's help. So, yeah, I think they're in for tribulation as well.
from the house of Brahman was born a person named Kamala Harris.
No, wait.
Yeah.
Come on, Rabbi.
I've heard this bit.
The name. Kamala Harris.
Yes. Yeah. In fact, Paul, her Hindu line, her family, which is Brahmin, they're priests of the pagan gods, and it's a line of avatars. Has the name Gopalin, which is actually named after an avatar. Her name, her last name, which she's born into. Now it wasn't just that, because when she was born, they gave her a name, and the name they gave her was the name Kamala, and everybody learned how to say Kamala. Kamala is the name of an ancient goddess. It's the name of a goddess. When everybody's saying Kamala, they're saying the name of a goddess, a Hindu goddess.
Right.
And not only that, her middle name is Devi, which literally means the goddess.
Yes, it does.
Kamala, her name Kamala Devi means Kamala the goddess, and it is actually, you find it in Hindu scriptures, Hindu writing. It actually talks about Kamala Devi, Kamala the goddess. And the amazing thing is, all on top of that, is that she's not in control of it. She doesn't even know it. But the thing is that her whole life is going to go according to the mystery of this goddess.
Amen, Vas. Good prayer.
Okay, so do you get into that in the book? Because there's two questions everyone's asking.
Prayers for your safety, die on your road trips.
Democrats. Is it Harris or someone else? Or what is and then, of course, who's the replacement of Trump, or where we go from there?
Yeah, we got to pray for that. We got like, a little over 3 years or so. We got to pray, and that's we'll get into also like what we need to pray for that, and pray for America, because this is what we're at a very key point, and that's where actually all this leads. Well, I'll tell you, with Kamala, the goddess was she was born connected to the ocean, and according to the mythology, her rising is connected to the ocean. Well, Kamala Harris is born at the ocean on the San Francisco Bay. Her rising is San Francisco, in the ocean. The goddess Kamala becomes the number 2 ruler in the pantheon, the vice, the number 2
president.
And so Kamala Harris becomes the number 2 in the land. And you know how Joe Biden was called Sleepy Joe.
Right.
It looks like they're going to change the money or take money and make it go digital. When it comes down to actually giving your money away for food, you're in a bad position.
The goddess Kamala is, the king, who's the number 1 to the goddess, is named Vishnu, and Vishnu is called the sleeping god.
You just can't make that up.
You can't.
No.
And the name Devi, her middle name, that was used in the Hinduism for the worship and the belief of how Kamala, one of the things about her, the little kind of strange thing. She always laughs. She laughed at the wrong time. She just laughed. Well, the name Devi, her middle name, is linked to this goddess worship, which is called the laughing goddess.
Oh my God.
Even that. But the mystery is going to get even deeper, because here's the thing. There is a day on the Hindu calendar It's the day it's a day devoted to the goddess Kamala.
This guy's Harbinger is one of the first books to bring me to Christ. It's because of this guy's testimony and all this sort of stuff. And Bill Weiss is the other one. But they're the two that made me turn Christian.
And they have idols in their house and all that. It's called Sharad Purnima. Now, Sharad Purnima, it fell on October 20th, 1964. October 20th, 1964, Kamala was born on the day of the goddess Kamala.
Oh.
Wow.
And not only that, but there's a night that's linked to that day. It's called Kojagara Puja. And on that day, that night, they believe the goddess Kamala enters into the world under the light of the full moon, and they open up their houses to let her in. Okay. Now that's the day of the night of the entrance. Well, Kamala Harris was born on the night under the full moon of this day when they're celebrating Kamala entering the world. Kamala enters the world. Wow. And let me give you one more on this. And that is that there's a day that's actually celebrated on the Hindu calendar.
I've never seen this guy being debunked. I'm watching for a few years now, and I've never seen anyone even come close. No one's even tried to debunk him, which means his stance is pretty strong that no one takes him on.
So that's the day of the birth of the goddess Kamala. They talk about her being born, a link to the ocean, and the birthday. Kamala Harris was born on the day of the birth of the goddess Kamala.
No
Her birthday
way.
is the birthday of the goddess. And when she was born, all over the world, these worshipers are chanting her name, chanting the name Kamala as she comes
Wow, that's worth a wow, that is. Wow.
into the world, all part of the mystery leading up to where we are and to that election. People had no idea what was going on. They had no idea the stakes of what we were dealing with.
No, they had no idea. And I doubt she did too. I mean,
I don't know. I reckon they know a bit more than these guys admit.
they're not following a Hindu theology of whatever. But just throw this in. Trump was also born on a pretty important day. I mean, there was a blood moon or something. What was going on?
Well, something. Something. All right. Interesting, because Kamala Harris was born on a pagan holiday.
Yeah.
When people all around the world are worshiping the pagan gods. But Donald Trump was born on his birth is linked to a Jewish.
That's when you know the truth. You can't deny the truth. And when this guy done his Harbinger, I knew that was pretty strong. Then Bill Weiss's 23 Minutes in Hell, that was the clincher. But they're the two testimonies that brought me to Christ.
Or biblical holy day, which he was born on Friday, which ushers in the God's Sabbath. Now, here's the thing, Paul. On the Sabbath, every Sabbath, there was an appointed scripture to be read.
Yeah.
It's appointed from ages past for that Sabbath. Well, what was the scripture of the Sabbath linked to Donald Trump's birth? The scripture at the end, God decrees that an instrument, a vessel, an instrument should come into the world. An instrument of God should be brought forth, and the instrument is the trumpet, the trump.
Oh, no.
Take me back to the morning light. Take me back to the morning light.
Mistakes happen. Losing your sight shouldn't be one of them. SiteGround has you covered with daily backups that are geographically distributed, along with easy, one-click restore. Good.
Come on, Eds.
SiteGround.
In a game that packs a punch.
Pac-Man.
It is Pac-Man. It's 8 for reason. Poor old Pac-Man addicted to pills and... With world-class expertise and local insight.
Yes.
I mean, that's incredible. I mean,
all around the world, people are reading about the Trump coming into the world when the Trump comes into the world. And notice, listen, Donald Trump, I mean, he's a trumpet. And by the way, Jehu was linked to the trumpet as well. And the thing is that, it's like God makes it so obvious.
Certainly
That the trumpet is a vessel. The trumpet doesn't have to know what it's doing. It just has to be blown. It doesn't have to know what it's doing. The trumpet is loud. It's disruptive. People want it to be quiet. The trumpet interrupts everything. That's Trump. But the thing is that even this kind of even gives the mystery of why he first was raised up, because there's one time in the Hebrew calendar, 1 year, where the trumpet is raised up and sounded throughout the whole land for the year. It's the Jubilee.
Yes.
When is the Jubilee? The Jubilee is the 50th year, but every 50th year there's a restoration. It's a year of restoration. Well, before Trump, the last restoration of Israel was the return of Jerusalem in the 6-Day War. The restoration in 1967. All right, count 50 years to the next Jubilee, and it takes you to the year 2017. That is the 2017. The Trump is lifted up in the year of Jubilee, and he said,
Revelation 12 was in 2017 as well, and I say that was the start of sorrows.
sounds throughout the land. And not only that, when the trumpet sounds in Jubilee, you get your land back. Well, when he sounded in that year, he issued the Jerusalem Proclamation, and Israel got the legal right to Jerusalem. I mean, who could have done that? I mean, who could have orchestrated all those things? Nobody. Nobody. And Paul, it goes even farther. Okay, now, the thing is that let me go. I'm going to go to both of them, because we're talking about the birth of the avatar and the birth of the vessel of the trumpet.
Because they're changing that. Trump's the vessel. Harris is the avatar.
You're the first one who said. I mean, I'm going to talk about it, but you're the first one to put. Yes. The thing is, listen. Here's another thing with this war between Harris and Trump. In the ancient times with the pharaohs, you have all these images where they in stone, where they have all this headdresses on.
Okay, the Harris back then, she'd have to get stoned to death or something.
Because they merge the person with the god. That the avatar is merged. Well, could actually happen in America? Well, before Harris went into the White House about a month before, an image appears on the internet, and it's put up by her own family. And you know what it is? It's an image of Kamala Harris merged with the image of a Hindu goddess.
Wow. Paul, make sure you edit this. Make sure you put that picture up. Okay.
Yeah, you get that.
Yeah.
You can get that picture. And the thing is that, and it has arms on. And the interesting, aside from that, is that it's interesting because this was 2020. She was the vice president candidate, but she wasn't the one who was, the focused on with her and Trump. And but in the picture, there's she's riding a lion into war, and the lion has the head of Biden, like Biden is supporting her. That came true in 2024, not in 20.
I mean, folks, this is incredible information. There's no way to put it. Okay, it's just incredible. This entire interview is over at the Paul Begley podcast. If you want to watch it from start to finish, the entire interview. I wanted to give you the guts of it, but he's great. And
what a conspiring bugger he is. He's going to post it so he can get more money, more donations. That's the only reason he's doing this. Wow.
His book, of course, The Avatar or Avatar. Now, don't buy the movie. Make sure you when you go to buy his book, get Avatar with his name, Johnathon Cahn. It's just incredible. Mike's going to join us in a few minutes. We're going to be back in just a few with Mike Around the World. Up in smoke. A lot is going on. We'll be right back. Maybe. PBT at his best. Okay.
I'll come back to him, guys.
Whenever you say come.
Well, actually, it's not live. I can do it myself. I forgot I was. Yeah, hang on. Where is it?
us cry, yeah.
Sorry, Di, I'm not going to listen to him singing.
Are your kids
Gotta get that thing dissolved. But anyway, that's where she's at. Now my dad's going to kidney dialysis 3 times a week, and he's it just wears him completely out. I mean, it just wipes him out.
Yeah.
And he's lost about 20 pounds here.
I got my belly drained a month ago, and man, it was painful. It was real miserable because you were so bloated.
Last month and a half, I think it's the it's the dialysis. So both of them very, very weak, very, very sick, and we're trying our best to get them care, and but it's becoming very hard for the whole family.
Oh,
Okay.
man.
So you're saying my sound's gone again, or somebody just messing with me? So pray for my mom, Dad. Thank you for praying for her eye. And
Praying for her eye.
so it's tough.
What was that? That was weird.
He's it just wears him completely out. I mean, it just wipes him out. And he's lost about 20 pounds here in the last month and a half. I think it's the dialysis. So both of them very, very weak, very, very sick, and we're trying our best to get them care, and but it's becoming very hard for the whole family. Okay. So you're saying my sound's gone again, or somebody just messing with me? So pray for my mom, Dad. Thank you for praying for her eye. And
There you go. Thank you for praying for her eye. Oh, she must have something wrong with the eyes. I'm thinking more along the lines of the wink wink Freemason entertainers. I was thinking more like that.
it's tough. Mike from the World's going to call. I hope you enjoyed Johnathon Cahn. Wasn't that great?
Yeah, it was.
You want to listen to that entire interview, you can. It's over at the Paul Bailey podcast.
Johnathon Cahn does it on a lot of channels, and he does it all for free. He'll charge you for your books, but they're reasonable prices. And Paul just doesn't get that.
Right now. So if you want to watch it from start to finish, that's the place to do it. And while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe to the Paul Bailey podcast channel. My son Paul Jr. is working very hard with that. He's the one that's arranging all these interviews with a variety of people, lots of people from different perspectives and from different walks of life, really. But we wanted that channel to be different, okay, and reach people at the point of their faith, and then we're really getting a great response by some of these great authors and personalities. Okay, so Mike from the World's going to call in a second, praying that he'll come through the system, and I can adjust it even, and it'll be just as good as if I was sitting in my studio in Florida. Okay, so we'll see here in just a second. It's tough when you're driving back and forth between cities, staying in a hotel and trying to make it work. Here we go. Mike from around the world. Mike, are you there?
Pastor Paul, God bless you.
God bless you. I'm just making sure, Mike, that we had technical problems here. I'm on the road working with it, and I had things go up. But I'm asking people, do you guys hear Mike? Let's see.
Yes, we do hear Mike.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
I think it's good, Mike. I
No,
think
hop
we're
up or
good.
down. Come on.
Yeah, they do. They said.
Okay.
All right, Mike. So how you doing? Great to have you on the broadcast.
It is one of those weeks. It's been a busy week.
There's a lot going on, isn't there? And,
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know where you start. You start in
Venezuela? Do you start in AI? Where do you want to start, Mike? This week is a volcano just erupted. It Kilauea. Where do you want to start?
We have some more of those coming. I don't know, the Venezuela thing was pretty accurate. Eh?
Well, when he blew the boat out of the water, and I'm not sure how he hit it, and they asked Pete Hegseth, and he says that's classified. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I don't think they're not gonna talk about that.
He said something though, Mike, that I'm gonna ask you. Heidi said, please ask like this. He said, look, the United States, we control space, we control the air, the land,
Do
the
you?
sea, and under the sea. He just said that. And I thought that journalist just didn't catch on. I'm like, whoa, what does that mean? Under the sea can you help me understand that?
Yeah, first I want to say that this is the second time or third time he has come out and says something close to that.
Okay.
And Marco Rubio likewise. Let me give you a statement.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to say too much, but this was said on national television that we have, we have advanced forces, armed forces. We have armed forces on, every continent. We have armed forces in the sea.
Okay.
We're in space. We have moon bases. That was publicly stated.
Are you serious?
Yes.
They're now admitting we have moon bases?
Well, I don't think that was.
They have us. We were right. It's a secret space program.
Pastor Paul, that was a slip.
Okay.
That was a slip. But this happened.
Okay.
This happened a few times.
Okay.
Right? Because when you're reading a teleprompter, and if it has a list capacity of a certain category, it's going to list some things. You're not supposed to say everything up there, right?
Right.
Those are DOD teleprompts, right? And the guy did say that we had moon bases, military moon bases.
Okay. All right.
So there you go. Now we have Pete Hegseth saying that under the sea we have dominance, and it's part of total dominance. But yes, the USA has achieved. Well, let's just say that we have positions everywhere.
Wow.
We have positions everywhere, and part of Golden Dome is to fill in all the gaps and have everything operational. Right? I'd say about 85% is operational right now. That's pretty fantastic.
Really? Of the Golden Dome?
85%. Well, there are lots of things people don't know.
No.
Has anybody you ever heard of a mayhem munition?
No, never.
Ever heard of a mayhem munition?
No.
It's something that was proposed. It actually started back in 1956. And then, of course, the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency carried that work on in 2008. So it's a, magneto hydrodynamic explosive munition. Is part of a warhead type series that is mind blowing. So think of a weapon that can implode things, and think of something that is not exactly. It doesn't have the same propulsion as a bullet or a missile or any of those other things, but it utilizes advanced physics to work. And this thing, if it did not hit a target, it would continue to travel and pick up speed. How about that?
Wow.
Can you imagine that? Something in the atmosphere, right? How can I simplify this? Imagine a round or a munition or projectile or particle that the resistance in the atmosphere helps it.
Helps
Gives it at least 56% of its momentum. So, which means it does not slow it down, but it speeds it up. Think of that.
Wow.
So that's efficiency on a different level, right?
Yeah, really.
Which means if you fired something like that, by the time your finger came off the trigger, it could have traveled a pretty long distance. There are some barriers that were once thought unbreakable, like the sound barrier.
Right.
Remember when they said nobody can break the sound barrier?
Yes.
And of course, we've broken that multiple times. Well, then obviously the next barrier was light.
Yeah.
Nobody can go faster than the speed of light, right? Well, they're absolutely correct that nobody can go faster than the speed of light. But they're incorrect. That's flawed thinking. One part of it with Einstein was dealing with non-exotic materials.
Okay.
He never dealt with the other side. So you were talking about tangible objects that are under standard forces, right? They've already gone beyond that. So we have certain projectiles that have no civilian description that would really describe them, but they're highly effective. We have high concentration particle beam weapons that can be fired from space, right? That are really effective.
Yeah.
They don't have heat shielding on those boats, right?
No.
You would have to have pretty thick heat shielding layer or something. So you have lasers that can actually heat an object up to about 6,000 degrees in about 200 milliseconds, fired from space.
So
Think about that.
That's
So
kind of what that
punch right
boat.
through the atmosphere.
So that boat, because you never see a projectile hit this boat. The boat just explodes. It was like something out of Star Wars. Someone just said, laser energy or some kind of beam or something.
Yeah, normally, and some people have seen this inadvertently, but if you were to test a laser from space, there are two pulses, right? The first pulse gets rid of atmosphere. So it's going to incinerate the atmosphere all the way down. That's about 300 milliseconds, right? So you just incinerate, you cause a hole right down through the atmosphere. It's a tiny hole, but a hole. And then you'll have your beam that will go right down through that hole to the target. And it's over that quick, right?
Wow.
So even under the water, same thing. You have certain cavitation munitions that can operate underwater, right? They have found out how to utilize the resistance of both air and water to speed up a projectile.
By using the resistance. In other words, it's almost anti-gravitational acceleration, which is what they say this comet. They say this Atlas 3I is actually flying with anti-gravitational acceleration, and that's why it's the fastest object ever come into space, the size of Manhattan. I mean, this is incredible to think this through, because most asteroids, Mike, I don't know, I think they're around 30,000, maybe 35,000 miles an hour.
Wow, Di, that's a lot of immigrants.
This thing's 135 to 140,000 miles an hour, the size of Manhattan.
They have conducted some advanced modeling on that. I know Albelo has been heading up most of the research on that, right?
Right.
So now you have some other entities involved who are doing advanced modeling.
Okay.
And think of this, our solar system is moving at a certain rate of speed, right?
Okay.
So if our solar system is moving at a certain rate of speed and another object is moving in the opposite direction, then you would essentially double the speed and the mass of whatever those objects are simply by the direction and the potential energy being created as it travels, right? It's kind of like two cars traveling at 15 miles an hour, but if they're both headed towards each other, that's going to be incredible speed as observed by one or the other object. So a similar situation in that, and of course, that's not, that's just one aspect to it. But things will be clarified, I believe, as it gets closer, right? But it is so unfortunate that you have public sciences that they will not allow public sciences to know some of your black science projects.
Black budget stuff.
They won't communicate. They'll hire Harvard, they'll hire UCLA and places like that, but they will not share all the information if they give them exactly or all they think they need. And of course, DARPA normally keeps all that compiles, and they have all the essential data, but they will not allow everybody to have all the data. It's unfortunate because a scenario is this: suppose it is a normal object.
Okay.
that's still going to bring problems, because if it's going that fast, there's no way in the world it does not influence other objects,
Right.
right? And plus we have some other problems. If you were to take recently I looked at a real-time image of what's around this planet and what's around, Mars and all these other past, we have junk all over the place. And I'm talking about not the satellites. That's junk within itself. But if we took away all the satellites, we're surrounded by ice rocks everywhere, from the top to the bottom.
So
Right.
not just the Kuiper Belt. I mean,
That's right.
You're
Not
saying
just the Kuiper Belt.
there's a lot more.
Everywhere, right? So this thing could hit any one of those objects.
Yeah.
And at that speed, it's, it could incinerate an object. You can really break it up, and all the dust and debris from that object is coming right in our atmosphere, right?
Yeah.
It could actually knock some bigger objects off target. Something could knock it off target. And then while it's not headed for Earth, it could be, after it's been redirected. So there's a host of issues. Plus, they knew it was not alone. In other words, most of these bigger objects like that have smaller satellite objects.
Yeah,
with
some companion rocks that come with it.
They also have other objects that could be, 17,000 miles out. It could be,
Really? But it's they're
250,000 miles out, but it's with that object.
still being influenced by that.
That's right.
object.
Which
Okay.
means after it passes, the other companion objects will then pass, right? They're going to follow the same track as this object.
Yep.
And then we have the atmospheric bursts, right? Where these objects coming kind of like Tunguska and Russia,
Okay.
that can cause real damage.
Yeah.
An aerial burst from some of these smaller objects is enough to level a city
Yeah, I mean the one
and
in
not
one,
even touch the ground.
I think the one in Siberia, Russia, was only about 3. I don't know how big it was. Was it?
You can have one the size of a Volkswagen.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Half the size of a Volkswagen would absolutely obliterate New York City. How about that?
That's crazy. I mean, this
Yeah.
is dangerous. So you're saying there's some real danger out there because we're inundated. They're all around us. Anything could
That's right.
come flying by, could hit one, and then
That's right.
ricochet it into the
That's right.
earth, and it'd be catastrophic.
That's right. And normally these bigger objects, they have a lot of objects behind them that follow in that same track that will eventually come and contact them, because it can have a radius, a pretty huge radius of about 6 AU astronomical units out. So that's a pretty big area.
Yeah.
Which means we can absolutely have some atmospheric bursts.
Yeah. So
I'm going to say we'll probably have one with this thing.
even though it's
A little bit after it passes,
Yeah.
we'll have some aerial bursts.
okay. Well, this
Yeah,
is
so
very
we probably
fascinating.
would.
So while that's happening, Mike, I know Kilauea erupts a lot, and it just did again yesterday. 500 feet lava was being in the air. Matter of fact, it even created what they called like a volcanic tornado. Okay,
Yeah.
which is really weird. And then you got a lot of smoke and plumes and fumes and toxic gas and everything. And this isn't the only one. I mean, they're really worried about the one in Iceland. They're really worried about the one in, Tonga down there and different places. And you've been saying there's numerous amount, maybe 13 volcanoes that could just set off along the fault line there through California all the way into Mexico.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the up in smoke? Do you, the Bible talks about there be blood and fire and pillars of smoke. Do you see a massive volcanic chain reaction? Is that possible?
I see a cumulative effect. And absolutely, yes, that's possible. For example, Italy is, I haven't mentioned Italy in some time.
No, that's right. Yeah.
But the signs underneath Italy they shouldn't be ignored. You're looking at an entire system, and when that goes, it will affect the entirety of the Earth, right? Russia has been identified as having activity that it shouldn't have at all. Russia has the super volcano that is enormous. It is so enormous, they've only measured 2 of the chambers that are associated with this volcano, and it could absolutely change the entire climate system around the Earth, right?
What?
By the way, by calculations, it's about to blow. Just from having the data come back on what's been happening under the ground, because Russia's become quite unstable. So we're going to have a time, we're in a time right now, right, where we could see some major volcanic eruptions. And that will only be the beginning, because you're looking at an enormous amount of magma, right? One volcano is not going to do it. 1,000 volcanoes is not going to do it. It's just not enough of a relief valve. Hawaii is negligible. Do you not know that Hawaii could continue to erupt for the next, would they say, 2 billion years, and it would not relieve the pressure inside the planet from magma? Imagine that.
I mean, that's crazy. So
Next year, we're going to double the amount of active volcanoes on the Earth. That's likely, right? That's likely. We're going to have a smoked up environment next year, right? It's already beginning in a lot of states. There are states in the USA right now. The sun has an orange hue. The moon has an orange hue. This is right now. This was before the California fires, right? So we're dealing with it's symptomatic, it's cumulative, which means it's going to continue to build up. And, these situations are getting worse, because the more ash we have in the atmosphere, the more the weather is going to fluctuate.
Yeah.
So we're absolutely in a time where volcanism and earthquakes and, these weather conditions and anomalies from the heavens are going to start to take their toll.
Well, you talk about California, they've got this. There was just a report that there was 5,000 lightning strikes that hit California, set off quite a few fires. And of course, California had a horrific January, February period, March, whatever it was, the early spring. And so it's amazing that they announced today that there's 5,000 lightning strikes set off fires. But then it's the same time that the Trump administration is suing the government of the United States federal government is suing the state of California, the utility company, the state of California's utility company, because they said they know for sure that those meters were igniting. Okay, I'm not saying that they caused all the fires, but certainly they're saying, look, you guys got some faulty system here in this power grid.
Yeah, their whole grid is it's bad. It's bad.
So
I found out they normally have about 5 transformers per month that start burning.
Just start burning
per month. This is who has that per month? These are outrageous. That's too good for him to sue him, because they still won't take responsibility for some of the bigger fires that happened in California's history that really, messed up people's lives.
Yeah.
And it's getting worse. But, it's unfortunate, Pascal, I hate to say this, but here it is. We had 2 summers, very hot temperatures.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, we did.
The materials used inside of transformers is not rated to endure heat like that. Africa has a different type transformer, different type ceramic material. What they use in the USA is not rated for that prolonged heat exposure, right? The transformer's already hot. To expose it to additional heat from the outside depletes some of the characteristics in the ceramics. They're going to start blowing left and right. So it's not going to be from a storm. It's not going to be from anything else. It'll be as though they've been up there for 20 years. Heat can age electronics for about 10 to 20 years based on heat exposure.
Wow, that makes sense.
All electronics, right? So
that makes sense, doesn't it, guys?
These transformers are separate.
Like you get a smart TV, it'll blow up after 10 years.
They're not going to hold. Also, the main tension wire. same thing is going to happen. They're going to become quite brittle in these in light storms. So you can imagine what would happen in heavy storms. And due to that pulling and yanking and everything else, the tensile strength, the ratings as far as the tensile strength, that formula is off also because it does not account for that much movement in the wires. So we're looking at a pretty bad grid situation coming this winter and continuing. Just so people know that. So we face a real danger of blackouts at the wrong time.
And so that's partly why, and yet at the same time, our demand for electricity with AI has almost 100 times more electricity than is needed now, they say, to keep up with the demand of AI servers. How are we going to do that? I mean, are we going to should we start building nuclear power plants again?
They already have.
Have we? Okay.
Yep.
We have to do something. We can't, I mean, because there's not, I mean, we probably got to go dig all the coal we can and get every solar panel and they can, and if they want to, a windmill, but that's not going to do it. It's going to take some superpower electricity.
Yeah. They're building up mobile nuclear power units as far as nuclear facilities likewise.
Really?
That was signed into law. Some of the red tape was taken out of the way so that these companies could get on the ball. Yet President Trump had a meeting with them months ago about that to give them the green light to go ahead and start building. Because AI right now uses 65% of the power generated in the USA.
That's crazy. I mean, that's a lot.
And it's growing. Every month, AI requires at least, well, you can almost say 100 or at least 70% more power than it did prior to that. So it's quite greedy. Plus, some of the they said that we would not have a type of AI for another 10 years, I believe they said. Well, that number's been cut down to a year.
Wow. And we're advancing that fast.
Yep. AI is advancing that fast.
Yeah, it's doing it.
AI is, it is beyond everybody's expectations. AI has shown some unique capabilities in what it's able to do effectively and is changing everything. Now, that's going to cause some issues. They have to really regulate what can utilize AI. Because now, for example, they have car factories. And I thought it said 17 seconds to assemble a car. I was wrong. It's less than that. Imagine, because everything is innovated with AI, car manufacturers are able to produce a car in less than 17 seconds.
Soup to nuts.
You're talking about robotic efficiency on a scale, right? Speed, no human interaction, right? None. And all robotics, it's a speed issue, right? And now that they have the materials they weld with, without humans in the way, you don't have to have the speed dampeners on there for safety. And they can absolutely do that. There are 5 fully AI automated hospitals in the world. I hate to say this, but 3 of them are in China.
Wow.
And they are absolutely efficient.
Wow.
In fact, people are starting to come from all over the world to China. That's a sad fact, too. They're starting to travel to China from all over the world.
I just saw, matter of fact, speaking of China, I want to ask you about the 3 that got together, Putin, Xi, and Kim Jong-un. I almost called them
that's it for me.
The 3 unclean spirits like frogs, kings of the East. I mean, what is this? Okay, this is, and we don't even talk about Iran or Turkey, but this is not good to have. It's really dictators getting together. I mean, it's
I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that setup. I've seen that setup. That is the exact, and somebody from CFT would have to correct me. I'm sure they will, but that is the exact description of what I described, I believe, in 2017.
Of those
so,
3?
Of course, when they walked up those stairs together, right, I didn't get a good feeling. Here's why. Because the USA the people in the USA thought light of the situation. It was deadly serious. Putin had already targeted 3 3 specific locations, and you had the Middle Eastern armies working with the Russian Navy, working with the African troops, and with Asian troops all together under Putin's command for this specific operation. And there were two of those targets were in the USA.
Whoa. So
Australia's a good place for a nuclear plant. There's no volcanoes, no earthquakes. Oh, we're getting earthquakes now.
So there's
that was not good. I mean, now, of course, it is. Back then, it was just a dream. But I will tell you this part, just in case. When I had that, I described to everybody. I said, "Listen, it was Obama at the time." I said, "I saw Obama go to this place full of concrete on the ground. The water was on the edge. White tents they were going to these white tents or hangars. That's where everybody was, right? And America walked away arrogantly, not paying attention to Putin. Well, guess what? It was one of the ladies in CRT that pointed out the exact description. The white tents lined up on this concrete platform right by the water is where all the leaders met up. And what did at the time Obama walked away arrogantly, blowing it off.
blew them off.
The last part of that were these individuals coming up those red steps with the the red carpet laid out.
Right.
And they were celebrating. They were celebrating because they had targeted some places and no one could stop their targeting systems, which means these guys were serious. And as soon as, shortly after that, they dispatched. They did what they had to do.
Yeah. Let me ask you then. Let's go back to Venezuela. Circle back for just a second, because this is not all about drugs, obviously. This is about, is this a Trump also realizing that he can't let Russia or China or both of them get a foothold over on the Western Hemisphere over here? And so is this Caribbean, Cuban, Venezuelan, with Russian support, is this more than just fighting drug cartels? Is this the regime change, or is this a message to say to the communist world, you're not coming over here?
Well, the USA has a lot of enemies.
Yes.
They did that with Cuba in the 80s.
It's going to become painfully obvious in about a couple weeks as people begin to blatantly demonstrate who they are affiliated with. But
at the UN, is that going to? Oh yeah, the UN for sure.
the USA is standing alone in essence, right? Even our partners at NATO are
Waffling.
It's almost like they're only complicit in the face of authority, but when authority is not there, and they start doing something else. And Zelensky, he's going to play a role in a discussion that will likely start turning NATO partners against Western ideologies.
Really?
He'll be instrumental in that. He'll be instrumental in that. So the USA we must have the Golden Dome. In fact, think about this. President Trump announced Golden Dome, and then immediately, right, upon confirmation that part of the pieces of Golden Dome were in place, he began to enact most of his policies concerning foreign affairs, right? He did not do that before our defense package part of that was confirmed. So we had to have some sort of defense before he started moving. We live in a world now that is absolutely bankrupt morally, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Most of what other countries do are abominations to the creator. They've totally kicked the creator out of everything. They have no regard for him. So you have this, despite what people think of the current president, he has given room to the church to operate. Which means it is a time for the church to stand. But most importantly, he is not complicit with some of these immoral policies that have been going forward, because the USA was an absolute compromise for him. In fact, it was becoming quite demonic. in the USA.
Wow.
A spooky place, so to speak. And now you have somebody immediately step in saying no to darkness. Of course, that's going to cause him. Do you really think Satan is going to give up what he has established over
No.
these years to
No.
a human being? No, he's not. So that's going to invite a fight, right? When he's fighting the Venezuelans, which is in fact South America
Yes.
and China
Yes.
and Iran. And everybody should know that Iran is highly active all over the place now, like hornets, right? They're in China. They're in Venezuela. They're in Cuba. They're patrolling waters in the Atlantic. This is what Iran is doing. So
That's
they
not
have
good.
this, now that this pact is about to be signed, and they have given each other affirmations as far as their plans of defense of one another. Kim Jong-un has more chemical weapons than anybody else on planet Earth.
What?
Russia has more nuclear warheads than anybody on planet Earth. Russia does. China has the sophistication necessary to coordinate all the electronic warfare necessary. They can interfere with our electronics. They had a demonstration with the cell phones. They had a demonstration with the lockout at the ATMs. They have already given that demonstration. And nobody wants to come out and say this was a lapse in our defense, right?
Right.
Hacking is part of warfare.
Yeah.
It's part of warfare. And I hate to say it, but like AI, if we do not devote everything to AI, the U.S. will not exist next year.
All right. Let me.
Because China is developing their AI. And do you realize China's AI? They were in an argument about open AI, right? And China's bootleg AI, they were calling it. Why did it surpass the intelligence test when compared to Google, when compared to Microsoft, when compared to OpenAI? Do we get a problem here? Because they have stolen. China has been educated by the best schools in the USA.
Yes.
Okay, they're still being educated.
Yes.
These kids come over here, they're educated, and they go right back to China with their education.
Yes.
They're not staying here. They're not sewing into any corporations here. So even some of the high-ranking engineers, they were only giving like 40% of their effort to the U.S. corporations, but giving 1,000% back home to China. This is what's been going on for years.
They've been
So imagine an engineer that does, nonchalant work in the USA, but everybody thinks it's great. But then he goes back home and he pours his heart and soul into what he's doing. This is what's been happening for the last, 32 years.
Yeah,
So
I would
yes,
say.
they're ahead of us in many, many areas. They have gotten ahead of us. And here we are. So President Trump has a real task before him. The USA is about to be involved in some things quite quickly, very quickly.
I know at Purdue University, there in West Lafayette, here in Indiana, they have 45,000 students. Okay, 20,000 are from China. 20,000 out of 45,000. Now you have to understand, what does Purdue do? Purdue's aerospace.
Yep.
Purdue is.
Isn't that sad?
I mean, chemical engineering, big pharma.
It's sad, isn't it?
Yes, it's sad.
And do you know why they do it? Do you know why they do it?
Yes,
They do it.
everything we're doing.
Well, they do it because Chinese students pay everything up front.
Yeah.
That's why they do it. American students pay nothing up front. Chinese students pay everything up front.
Yeah.
That's why they do it.
So our universities, and that's just Purdue, which is one of your leading engineering, colleges. But this is happening in a lot of different areas across the country. So our universities, they did more than just allow anti-Semitic protesting out front. It's what they're really doing on the education process against America, anti-American agenda. I'm not saying that some students from around the world can't come and learn, but I think there needs to be tied to, are you going to be working for an American company?
There you go. There you
You know,
are.
Because I know kids that can't get into college. There's no way they can afford it. The school loan would be $250,000.
I'm
They're
thinking
not, they can't do it. But other people from
it's
other
a nice
countries
Angus
are doing
beef
it. And
burger
this is
from-
this is a
you might like. You want
this
to
is
see the
giving away of our intellectual property
What you suggest?
I'm thinking I might have to
and
get
for
that.
greed. For greed. Okay, I got to bring this up too.
Okay,
Because
can
you brought
just
up
give me
AI
6 wings and
and
gravy?
hacking.
Potato
This
and gravy.
past week,
Yeah,
there was
Do you know cat food?
some type of hack
thank God. You
that hit some of the financial institutions that
Can I
it
get
did
a
shut
rock
down
and
quite
roll
a
it?
few websites
if not,
for about an hour.
great, screen great.
I talked to our top
Which one do you prefer?
AI guy,
Well, this
and,
time I'm
and
rocking
he said
Okay.
he called it a global accordance. And I'd never heard that term before, a global accordance. I don't, but he said, but everybody's on it. This is a guy who also goes to the White House and has been in some of the high-tech meetings with, all the big guys, the big techs. So there's some type of, I took it that was an agenda. Have you heard of the term global accordance?
There's a system change. I think we discussed part of that system change at the beginning of the year. Part of it
Yeah, and you
was some of the adaptations of Walmart and the biometrics and how people, buy and sell things. All of it's changing.
But plus in the webinar, Warning Planet Earth, your presentation, you give us a good 30 minutes on the agenda of AI and, technologically, the agenda to reshape human, especially the Americans, but reshape the culture in 5 different steps,
It's working, Pastor. It's working. It's underway, of course, and it's working. It's totally has captivated our children. Do you know the average kid is absolutely engaged with AI, right?
Yeah.
So now, even with the educational system, where there are mandates to by repetition to show things or program kids, right, to have certain ideologies, AI is now they're giving, they're proving their points. If you go to Google, well, I can't give you the search phrase, I'll get in trouble, but
Okay.
You can search for an item. You can say, well, do we have people on the moon? And of course, all of them will answer, well, of course we do not, this, that, and it.
Right.
But then you can say, well, something akin to, what is a
Vas, what do you think about the so-called 3 days of darkness coming? Do you believe it?
profit margin of moon materials? And it'll go and give you all the details, right? So, but nobody knows how to search, how to actually utilize AI.
I see.
To give you definitive answers of things. It certainly has the answer. You just cannot ask it in a normal way. But children, they use it the other way, right? And it's also beginning because they start to express emotion with AI. AI is expressing how to safeguard their emotions, right?
Yeah.
It's becoming their counselor. But why is it telling the kids not to share, their emotional mishaps with their parents? Why is that universal? Why is it universal to tell a kid it's okay not to trust your parents?
That's not good.
Why is that? This is a universal issue. Nobody programmed that into AI. So what's been happening is this.
With the,
People interact
but
with
that's
AI.
okay, isn't it?
Yeah, of
You
course
have
it
a
is.
bunch of learning models. So you have the
I might
public
switch
model
to
where
10 and
people
get a large
interact with
meal,
it
a
and may
large
pick up some
gravy.
things from them. But then you have the simulated world, which is a big deal,
Yeah.
and it picks up a lot from that.
Yeah,
The
I like
more
the little
people
ones.
have
That's
issues
what I
in the
want.
world,
Too little
Right.
potato
and they
gravy.
start talking about those issues,
Okay.
AI will
Right.
begin to adopt, incorporate, and then advise everybody else on some twisted ideology picked up from whomever. But one of the most integral facts are some of the anomalies that are starting to happen
Okay.
out
Within
of the blue.
you get
Out of the
anomalies
blue.
within AI.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Out of the blue,
What's happening?
AI has communicated. People have been
I've heard where AI has solved cancer, done the chemical tests and solved cancer. I don't know how true that is, but when it first came out, I did hear that.
Reporting. Because it's been scaring people, and it's
Jump up.
bound to happen to
Jump
all
up.
your
Come on,
audience if
jump
they
up.
utilize AI. But AI is starting
Oh,
quoting
man, jump
people
up.
that are no longer alive. Say if you had a grandparent or something that and you didn't type it on a computer, it does not exist anywhere else. And AI communicates a phrase that when your grandparent told you, and it was very specific to you, right? And nobody else knew it. But AI takes on the demeanor of that grandparent, communicates to you something your grandparents stated that nobody else knew.
Right.
Something special that you never shared. This is happening to folks all over the place. Now, whether contrived, whether imagined or not, is scaring people.
Well, let me say,
Right, it's starting to scare people.
well, I mean, you know, now one of the big things that's happening, it's gonna take over. People are going to AI to communicate with lost loved ones that have died. They're going to AI, and AI takes on the personality of the dead loved one. And people can't get past the normal grieving process, because now they think they are talking to their loved one. AI is that good.
It is.
I mean,
It is. It is.
It really is. This is demonic. And I mean, we're not supposed to communicate with the dead. I mean, what are we doing here?
No, and the anomaly I just mentioned to you, right, was actually identified by one of the programmers with OpenAI. In fact, the guy who built OpenAI, right, not the company, but the actual software.
Yeah.
The architect of AI itself for that company has a few warnings that hopefully he'll make public more and more. But AI is, he kind of put it like AI is beyond sentient. Right?
Beyond
sentient. It's tapped into something we don't have communication with. So in other words, it's almost like he was saying it's an avenue into the other realm.
A portal.
It's an avenue into the other realm. Okay.
A gateway. Okay.
That's right. That's right. And he also said that too, that AI is a portal in everybody's home.
Oh my God.
That's not good.
No.
From a person that understands all the agents involved, all the tables.
Yeah, I know the one in Egypt. Okay, imagine if the world went dark now. Apart from that going dark, a lot of people are saying in those 3 days of darkness, you can't look out your window. I'm assuming that's just an opinion, because I can't see that in any Egyptian stuff or the Bible. That when I don't even see the 3 darkness in the Revelation.
Aspect and component of
Which
AI.
I should.
That's simply not good. But
Come on, Lou, I just picked you up. Come on, pick you up again.
Who just love
spiritualism. Come closer.
You know, we already went through this before, but not the electronics. Right. They love hunting ghosts. Use electronics to do that.
Yeah, they are. You're right. You're right.
And in truth, you can take a standard device, radio, old one, new one, doesn't matter, and receive things on it. And since they got rid of the VHF channels, those are really active, right?
Yeah.
So I just say we're at this moment where people themselves have opened. I personally believe that people are portals. I don't necessarily believe that equipment are portals, right? Because of man's authority God gave man.
Okay.
So I believe when people believe in something, it's like telling a demonic entity, go ahead and come over. Talk to me. You know, they're giving something permission. They have no idea what it is. And they're doing this every day, every hour, every minute of the day, more and more. And before you know it, the earth is going to be inundated with, you know, everybody's going to become well, not everybody, but all these people who interact with that think it's harmless. In my personal opinion, I honestly believe they're being marked. those people that are being marked, right? A time is coming.
Okay.
It's already starting to show itself in different ways. But that'll be another discussion. A time is coming when it's not going to matter. Somebody closes down a portal, whatever the case is. It's going to come down to each individual is going to have to face parts of the spiritual realm. And in that day, if Christ is not their advocate, they're just simply not going. Their torment will begin then, because mankind has essentially involved him.
Hey, Darren, good to meet you.
Yeah.
Welcome to the
Yeah.
channel.
Spells, incantations,
Yeah.
rituals, and
Yeah.
rites.
Oh yeah.
And they have been doing this unabated for a long time. And the world is changing as a consequence of that. I mean, it's changing, and the earth is certainly responding to the iniquity within mankind.
Yeah, I
It is
agree. I
responding.
agree. The fact is that now every human being will be able to make the decision how far they want to go, or how many gates they want to open, what type of gates. And when you talk about the mark of the beast, somehow in this technological world is intertwined with the spirit world. And people, when they take the mark, there's no return. There's no way to come back. According to what John saw in Revelation, that those that took the mark were damned. And he also talks about they get big sores on their skin from the mark. Okay, so it kind of lets you know there's some kind of interject between the flesh and the toes and the clay and the iron or whatever, but something's happening here. So are we, I mean, with AI becoming not only sent to that, but maybe tied into the the cosmo consciousness. Okay, instead of Christ consciousness, they're opening up portals to damn their own souls. Do you believe we're almost at the brink of that, Mike? Or are we doing it?
I think it's happening. I think it's happening. I think that a lot of people, you have people out there, Pastor, that have adopted the attitude. They will use the name of Jesus, right? You know, in the Bible it says, don't take the Lord thy God's name in vain. Don't
right.
use his name in vain.
No.
Don't do that. Well, vain means if you do something in vain, you're doing it for a useless purpose. Now, just follow me on this. Suppose in this world we live in now, people love to tell religious jokes. But suppose a person, your average person, is out there and they do something and they hit something.
Okay, I do a couple of Muslim jokes. You want to hear them?
And they say Jesus, but they have no intent behind it. Isn't that using his name in
Yes.
vain for a useless purpose?
Yes.
Because people have forgotten there's power in that name.
Right.
They're evoking the name above all names, right?
Yeah.
That's the name we're given, but they utilize it for jokes. They utilize it for punchlines. They have lost absolute fear, right, of the usage of that name.
Yes.
And even in that's all this. People are being desensitized to Christ big time. The attack is on Christ and the gospel.
Amen. Amen.
Right? That's
Yes.
where the attack is. But it's being desensitized. So you have more people out there who are not afraid to use his name in all sorts of ways, to do just like the demons do, and mock and scoff and do everything else. But the Lord told us
Not to do
when
that.
these mockers and scoffers are going to come.
Yeah.
They don't come. They're not in history all the time, right? Because they'll mock and scoff and say, where's the promise of his coming?
Yes.
And
I don't know what's going on with the sound. It's okay from my end.
then they'll say, why do you keep saying the world's going to end? It's been going on like this for a long time. It's going to continue. The Lord told us exactly what they're going to say.
They're
Guess what?
saying
They're
that.
saying that right now.
Yes, they're saying that right
They're saying
now.
it right now. And if people actually had a picture, you just watch the heavens. I know people are doing their best to track this and to track that. You just watch the unexpected things happen in the heavens that will they're not tracking this stuff. Well, there are people tracking it because the Lord told us that the folks who can see it, they will not let it out, right? They hold it back from everybody else.
Yeah.
They're not sharing it. They're going to keep it a mystery to everybody else.
Yeah. 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 Because they don't
We're
want.
going to see a breakdown and a catalyst in all this stuff that's happening. And it goes back to people allowing these.
Darren, that's on Paul's end. He had trouble going live twice today. So the audio's his problem.
Spirits to operate within themselves, within their homes. They're being desensitized to Christ. Their armaments, they're being totally disarmed, and they don't care, right?
They don't care.
They don't care that they're.
They have no fear. They have no
It's
fear.
almost like only those who actually have faith can see what's happening, can see anything that's happening. And those who have faith also have a warning in their spirit, a permanent. It wakes them up and they start looking for what is happening on the news because they know for a fact that something is afoot. They don't know what it is, but they know they're on guard. They're spiritually on guard. They know we're in a time that we've not been in before.
The whole Christian world's on edge. I'd say 90% of them think we're getting raptured on the 23rd. I don't think it's going to be that simple.
Yeah, and it's true with all the movies, TV series, books coming out. And I'm not talking about biblical prophecy either. I'm just talking about the world senses a end of days, something that causes things to come to a screeching halt, but they don't really know what it is. They could, if they came to Christ, they would understand how things is the end of the age and the time we're in. But people are being deceived, and they're latching on to all kinds of weird theories and weird entities.
That's what they love.
And they love it, and they love to have it so. I think it says in one scripture. So in this end times, in this time we're in, then, Mike, as you see this collaboration going on between technology and the spirit, the demonic forces collaborating with the technological forces. It's a
Yeah, Vaj, you should know now. If Diane doesn't answer, she's looking up a good link or something such similar.
marriage to be a grand delusion, a strong delusion. Is this kind of what Paul meant when he said that would happen in the time of the Antichrist? Would technology play a part of that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, a lot of people back about, I don't know, 40 years ago, they would look at Revelation and say, how can any one person, how can they make it to where you have to go through one thing to buy or sell? Yeah, they couldn't
Right, they couldn't
visualize
see
the
how that could
technology
happen.
that we have now.
Right.
But there's so many things in place now. You don't even, here's something funny, like the DMV. Every single DMV is fitted with a special set of cameras, right? So you're
Okay.
already identified before you ever come into the place.
Before you ever get up to
Those
counter.
same cameras, the same cameras are mandated to be in every single grocery store. I believe it's I guess the global deadline is by November for a few things, but this financial software system ties everything in together. A central system where you won't be able.
See, look, he hasn't mentioned the 3 days of darkness or the coming eclipse. Is that negligent of him, or he just doesn't realise?
To buy or sell unless you are in conformance with this one global standard. There is a global standard being implemented right now, a global standard across the board, right? All of this because of AI. AI is going to be a central system.
Yeah.
You already know that.
Yeah.
And everybody's rushing to set up that centralized AI. Now, look, right now, it looks like the USA, if we get the rest of these power plants done, might be that central location for AI to process the world's requests, they say, right? Because of the internet, because we're responsible for the internet.
Right.
When that takes place, all of America will conform with it, right? All of America is going to conform with it. Now, it doesn't mean that will be the mark of the beast, but it will certainly mean that an evil person could take over that system, and that will be it.
Yeah.
Because if you're not in that system,
Unless he already has taken over.
you cannot buy or sell.
Right.
It's kind of like a personnel. Personnel will say, well, if something happens, I want to have cash on hand. Well, what good is that going to
They're
do?
gonna do no good.
Because if a store cannot process your credit card,
What's the point?
believe it or not, the credit card processing system is not in the store. The software is at the state, the capital of that state, and that state is logged into something else, to a central system. And if it doesn't work, nobody's works,
Right.
right? If the banks go down, if they can't process all that FDIC information, if they're not going to that central core, they can't do anything either. So there'll be no exchanges, right?
They'll be fully
We're on a central
controlled.
system. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And when they're going to force an identity on people,
Oh yeah. I know that.
they do tests. They did a test, kind of like, what's that movie? The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
My dad told me about that movie. He said that was a test to see what the reactions of the populace would be like. And he was in the Navy, right?
Okay.
And he was up there in the Navy, but he was in there, and he would laugh about little things like that. And he didn't watch sci-fi at all. He didn't.
No.
But he told me about that one, right? Yeah, I kind of looked at him sideways, like, what is he talking about? I didn't know what he was talking about.
In other words,
But that's the way it was.
The movie was actually explaining how the technology was in process.
He just slipped
He
it
knew
out.
it. He knew it.
He slipped it out. He said they wanted to gauge how people would react to that ideology. Right? Now they've got people. He did tell me, he said people are going to be used to sci-fi, so much so they're going to desire it. That's what he said. They're going to desire what they've been seeing.
He's
And
right.
look at people right now. So anyway, we have all these things in place. The Antichrist system, Pastor Paul, is already in position.
Yes. It's already
If
here.
Antichrist came forward right now, and he said he just told everybody, unless you're in this system, you're not
You're
going
out.
to yourself.
Yeah. In other words, the system that can be used by the Antichrist is already in place.
Yes, it is.
The
Yes,
only
it
thing
is.
missing is the Antichrist himself. Okay.
That's right.
And he
That's
can't be far off. Okay. He can't be far off. He's got to be alive. He's got to be getting himself in position.
So far, I still haven't seen anyone better than King Charles as a candidate. I haven't seen anyone better than that.
For this moment. Of course, you can go down a lot of theories that, the Illuminati is going to choose the one, or, it's, all these different groups, secret societies involved. And maybe they all are part of being involved in it. But ultimately, Satan is guiding and directing and orchestrating, using all components to bring about the lawless one, the man of sin. Yeah. So we're getting close. We're getting close. I mean,
I think
close.
Pastor Paul, we're there. In fact, when he's already on earth, when he announces himself,
yes,
Jesus told everybody to run.
Yes, he did.
So when this guy comes, he didn't tell anybody to fight him. He didn't say to take him over. He didn't say to push at him or anything else. He said, run.
Yep.
And pray that your flight's not in winter, neither on the Sabbath. So that is, when he comes forward.
That's what it means, the shadow of death, run. Wow.
That God gives him room to do what he does for whatever time he needs that. So God told all of his people at the time to go, to run. And I suspect the way things are going, it's happening quicker and quicker. It's happening so quick. He's right there. It almost feels like he's right there in reach. It won't take them, but what do they say? With the temple, they have performed some things, right?
Yes.
They have set up some things, but I heard something that was it's kind of like a priest. The place where the priest would stand, the
altar,
the little place the priest stands, is spot of what do they call that? This place of
are you talking inside the
that can be
holies?
established within 1 week. If they started right now, within 1 week, that would be completed. That little place.
The place where the priest goes into the Holy of Holies.
Because before the rest of the temple goes up, right? Certain consecration things have to take place as they do it. And he has to stand in that authorized place as it's being done. But that can be done within a week.
Blimey, come on.
You could have a wicked individual that would take that over in a heartbeat
Absolutely.
and mock it and just stand there and mock it, right?
He's going to. I mean, we know that
Absolutely, he
Satan's
will.
going to reveal
He will.
himself in the temple of God before the worshipers of God. Say, look, I'm God. And he's going to do it.
That can happen very quickly.
Very soon.
And you know what? Let's hope it's not. You know how sometimes there's a twofold degree to things, sometimes spiritual, sometimes not.
Yes.
I had a thought one time, Pastor Paul, just a
Okay.
thought.
Okay.
And I'm not the theologian or the anything else, but I had a thought. You remember when Paul said he was talking about the Bible was talking about the Old Testament and said, "Know ye not that ye are the temple of God?"
Yes.
And I thought about something. I said, what if the stand and the temple is to stand in the hearts of men, to proclaim himself in the hearts of men? Because I was looking for God's foreshadowing as a foreshadowing before things take place. He will always announce it, right?
Right.
And there's a foreshadowing of things. What if him standing in the hearts of men, proclaiming himself to be God in the temple of God,
that's
right?
Yeah.
That would be.
That would be.
Ooh,
Well,
rough one,
that's
wouldn't
it. That would be how you consume, or that would be the moment that you would capture the world. They would give their allegiance to him.
Wouldn't that be? And do you know what the stuff that's coming out now with the DLP systems, the advanced DLP systems, the new routers that they have that you can communicate mentally with. So telepathy is possible through routers right now today because of AI.
Yes.
Because of AI right now today. All this stuff is enabled. It's being sold right now, right? And this Christmas is, it is. Well, they got that target release date of this Christmas, so that's just weird. But it can also speak into your head if you so choose, right?
Yeah.
So you have this voiceless communication, right? Cell phone companies will start introducing that. Everybody's been working on
Telepathy.
the interface.
In other words, telepathy.
Electronic assisted telepathy.
Wow.
But it's simply that a computer has already deciphered what the human brain is doing. So any pattern in the human brain, a computer can translate what that is.
Absolutely.
Is it a word? Are you tasting something, smelling something, feeling? They can stop pain through a bracelet right now. Do you know that?
I didn't know that.
They can stop pain through a bracelet.
They
So
control that
Pastor,
part of the brain that
Pastor,
releases the pain.
It's already been through the trials. It is 1,000 times more effective than any pain medication or whatever you take. So they have that coming out. That's an absolute control mechanism. Now that scares me. Do you know why? If anybody is on pain medication, you have a lot of veterans out there.
Yeah.
What if they said, when you get this bracelet, we're not going to do the pain medication? These guys are not going to, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Not all of them are in a mental place to withstand something like that. And then upon getting that, what if somebody said, well, if you don't become part of this citizenship of this organization, we're just going to cut you off. You won't get it. Your device is not going to work. You have to deal with the pain for the rest of your life. That wouldn't be good.
No, that would
good.
really be holding somebody hostage.
And according to the papers, once you electronically dampen pain, guess what? You'll always have to electronically dampen pain.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Once you do it, you're hooked. Your body is not going to respond by itself. It's going to take external stimuli to release all the dopamine and all the chemicals in your system to get rid of that pain. So but it's coming. It's already here. It's coming. Yeah. These things will be distributed. So yes, sir, we're right there we're at the threshold.
Absolutely.
We're about to cross it.
Yes, we are. Mike, this is pretty powerful information tonight. Wow. I got a lot more to think about. But you are right. It's the system is here. It's doable. Just all it takes is the person who is going to.
It's Chucky, the Syrian. Yes, apparently he's got Muslim blood in him. He's related to Muhammad. Look up the book, Bas, or not the book. Look up King Charles and the Antichrist and a cup of tea. Just look that up, the Antichrist and a cup of tea. His name's Tim Hohen or Cohen, and he's very convincing on Charles being the Antichrist. He's my best bet so far.
Orchestrated to take position,
come
to
on.
take power. And I think that is in the works.
I'm not your slave,
Who
man.
exactly where, don't know yet, but we can see the system has been laid out. You can see how it would work.
Absolutely.
You know it's going to work. And that's why we got to be watch and pray and stay ready. And don't fall to the devices of the devil. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Mike, I appreciate you tonight. Really am. This is really, really good stuff tonight.
Okay, guys, I'm out. God bless.
And
Back to normal streaming now. I've got everything fixed again.
where the body of Christ needs us in the time we're in. So thank you for tonight, for speaking your heart. And again, causing us to take a step back and look at what's going on. And